You think you'd never join a cult? You'd see those people on the news in their matching outfits, giving away their life savings, and you'd think they must be crazy, they must be stupid. This is the most dangerous lie you can tell yourself. Cult members aren't stupid. They're not crazy. They're often idealistic, intelligent, and empathetic people who were just looking for a better world. And that's exactly how they were trapped. A cult leader doesn't walk up to you and say, "Hello, I'm a monster. Please give me your money and your life." They walk up and say, "Hello, I see you're in pain. Have the cure." They don't recruit you to a cult. They recruit you to a family, to a revolution. By the time you realize the doors are locked from the outside, your mind has already been rewired to believe the outside world is the enemy, and the only safety is at the feet of the master. Welcome to the anatomy of brainwashing. To understand how a human being can be programmed to do the unthinkable, you have to understand the biology of belonging and fear. Humans are tribal animals. Our survival has always depended on being part of a group. Isolation actually triggers the same neural pathways in the brain as physical pain. Cult leaders weaponize this. They use a specific sequence of psychological hacks to break down your individual identity and replace it with the group identity. First, they use love bombing. They flood you with affection and validation. They make you feel seen for the first time in your life. This creates a dopamine addiction to their presence. Then they introduce isolation. They cut you off from your old Trebure family, your friends, the news. They tell you your parents don't understand you, that the media is lying. This puts your brain into a state of information starvation. When you have no external reality to check against, the leader's word becomes the only reality. Finally, they induce physiological depletion. They keep you awake for 20 hours a day. They feed you low-protein diets. They make you work until you collapse. A tired brain can't fight. Hungry brain can't doubt. When you're exhausted, your prefrontal cortex, the logic center of your brain, shuts down. You enter a state of hypnotic suggestibility. You become a vessel waiting to be filled. There is no darker example of this mechanism than the Reverend Jim Jones in the People's Temple. November 18th, 1978. The jungles of Guyana. 918 people lie dead on the ground, men, women, and children. They didn't die in a war. They died because one man told them to. How did a preacher who started out fighting for racial equality and feeding the poor end up orchestrating the largest mass murder-suicide in modern history? Jim Jones wasn't a madman. He was a master social engineer. He started in the 1950s with a message everyone wanted to hear: equality, justice, a world without racism. He attracted good people. He attracted the broken, the marginalized, and the hopeful. He gave them a purpose, built a rainbow family. But slowly, the mask began to slip. He used the boiling frog technique. At first, he just asked for small donations. Then he asked for 10% of their income. Then he asked for their houses. He asked for their loyalty. Then he asked for the custody of their children. Every time the members agreed to a small demand, their brains had to justify it. This is cognitive dissonance. I gave him my house, so he must be the Messiah. If he isn't, then I'm a fool who lost everything. To protect the ego, the brain doubles down on the belief. Then came the move to Jonestown. This was the ultimate isolation. He moved his followers to a jungle in South America, thousands of miles from help. He took their passports. He controlled the only radio. Began the White Nights. These were loyalty tests. In the middle of the night, sirens would wail. Jones would get on the loudspeaker and scream that the CIA was coming to kill them. He'd hand out cups of poison to everyone, including the children. He would order them to drink it as a revolutionary suicide. They'd drink it, weeping, hugging their children. And then, nothing would happen. It was just fruit punch. Jones would smile and say, "This was just a test. You passed." He did this over and over again. He was desensitizing them to their own death. Was normalizing the unthinkable. By the time the real poison came out on November 18th, they had already practiced dying a dozen times. The ritual was routine. When the order finally came, many didn't even scream. They just lined up. Because in their minds, disobedience was scarier than death. Jones had become their god, and you don't say no to God. The horror of Jonestown is not that 900 people died. The horror is that 900 people were murdered by their own psychology. So how do you know if you're in a high control group? How do you know if your community or your mentor is actually a predator? you need to use the BITE model defense. Rule number 1, behavior control. Does the group dictate what you wear, what you eat, or when you sleep? Do you have to ask permission for basic life decisions? A mentor guides, cult leader controls. If your autonomy is being stripped away in the name of discipline or enlightenment, run. Rule number 2, information control. Are you allowed to talk to former members? Are you allowed to read criticism about the leader? If the group tells you that anything negative said about them is lies from the enemy or persecution, this is a massive red flag. Truth does not fear investigation. Thali lies fear investigation. If they build a wall around your mind, break it down. Rule number 3, emotional control. Does the leader use fear and guilt as their primary tools? Do they tell you that if you leave, you will die, or you'll go to hell, or you'll lose your soul? This is phobia indoctrination. They plant a landmine in your mind so that you're too terrified to walk away. Remember, a healthy group lets you leave with dignity. Cult tells you that you are nothing without them. Jim Jones is dead, but his playbook is alive and well. It's used in multi-level marketing schemes. It's used in toxic relationships. It's used in extremist political groups. They all want the same thing, the surrender of yourself. Do not drink the Kool-Aid. Trust your gut. If you feel like you're disappearing, it's because you're being erased. But sometimes, the mind control doesn't come from a leader. Sometimes, it comes from the crowd itself. What happens when an entire town goes crazy at the same time? When people start dancing until they die, or seeing things that aren't there? This is the phenomenon of mass hysteria. If you want to know how a glitch in the human brain can infect 1,000 people at once, click the video on the screen. The madness is contagious. Thanks for watching.